What do you mean by good episode? I'm not sure. But I've got a very exciting guest here today. Dan from Deliverance Down Under and Jamie Zhu from More Jamie Zhu. His second channel, which you're probably very familiar with the first channel. Guys, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks
Good to be
for
in
having
Townsville.
Yeah.
Thanks for flying us in.
That's no problem. It's the Texas of Australia. I mean, you kind of flew yourself in because you changed your flights.
Many times, yes.
But I did offer to you to come up. But anyway,
Yes.
welcome here. It's hot, it's humid, but we're in the cool aircon in a nice studio, and we're here to share some stories.
Amen.
Yeah.
Any crocodiles around here?
There's crocodiles all over Townsville. They're actually about 10 minutes that way. There was like a 4-meter one that they found. Like you just
Really?
don't go in any of the creeks here. Just
What
don't
about
do
the
it.
water, like the beach and stuff?
Beach, they got these nets,
Oh, okay.
which there's actually a famous interview on YouTube with, say, Jonathan Thurston, and he's on the news, and a crocodile actually just walks up onto the beach. I was
No.
like, yeah.
Where was that? Just here?
That was at Palaranda, which is a little bit further north. But
Far out, man.
yeah, the thing about Townsville, it would be an international city. It really would be. It's so beautiful. It's got like the
That's
Castle
wishful
Hill.
thinking.
No, seriously, it's got like the Castle Hill Mountain, like like in Rio de Janeiro. It's got that like that look and that feel on the beach. You die in the water in summer.
Yeah,
And
right.
it has less to do with
that's the
crocodiles and
catch.
more to do with jellyfish. So you got the nets. So there's two kinds of jellyfish.
Okay.
You've got the box jellyfish with the nets protect you from, because that gets you 10, 20 minutes. You're
Really?
Yeah, it's that bad.
I'm Chinese, so we just eat them all.
No comment. So then we got the Irukandji jellyfish, they're the size of your thumbnail, and they get through the nets. And so they do a sweep in the morning of the water in the nets. But, if it gets you, I mean, you're in pain for a while.
Yeah, right.
You're not going to die, but it's really, really painful. So in winter months, there's no jellyfish or much less chance of jellyfish. And that's the time you go swimming. It's beautiful weather here, 6 to 7 months of crisp weather, 3 months of weather that is hot, and another sort of 2 to 3 months, which is tornadoes, floods, crocodiles, everything's going to come and
Wow.
get you.
You're really selling Townsville to me.
Yeah.
Might move up
6
tomorrow.
months of the year it's heaven on earth.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll stay in Sydney, I think.
Yeah.
But thanks for that.
Aren't you over the traffic at all?
Not really, no. We got
Really?
tunnels, unlike Melbourne.
Listen, I used to go M5 from, like Liverpool way all the way through to the city, traveling every day. Doesn't seem to be getting any better in peak hour.
I'm from Chatswood, so
I am.
yeah.
North
I see things a little bit differently to you.
Well, even the Eastern Distributor, bro. When I used to come to Eastern Distributor under the tunnel, play Gordon Rugby at Chatswood.
True.
Man, I just don't. Yeah. I mean, even when we went to the Chosen premiere the other day, which, hey, it's the 28th.
Is it out today?
29th. We can talk all about it if we want to
There
today.
you go.
We did get invited to go to the
Oh, did you have an
premiere.
embargo? You weren't allowed to talk about it?
Yeah,
or
we weren't
something?
allowed to post any reviews or
I didn't read
anything.
the
Oh,
fine
okay.
print. I was about
Yeah,
to until
yeah.
he told me I could.
Well,
But just going to more park, the traffic. So yeah, I don't miss it. I like this town. So I like it's quiet.
Fair enough.
Cool.
Fair
But anywho, let's hear your story, Jamie. Get it out.
Just like that.
Yeah, just like that.
What story do you want? There's many.
No, seriously, I really like to know, first and foremost, you're obviously most well known, YouTube, Instagram, there's like millions of followers there, Facebook. I just want to know the start of the story about how that all started in terms of all the YouTube fame and all the social media fame, and like how that journey, where that led you before, obviously your spiritual journey. So how did it all start?
So a bit of background. I grew up in Sydney, Chinese dad, Hungarian Australian mother. And so my parents got divorced at 4 years old, and my dad went back to China to pursue an acting and a directing career. And then I was raised by my mum as a single parent. And so my mum raised me amazingly. She wasn't a Christian, but she instilled a lot of, great morals into my life. Taught me about, health, especially. She's very much into health. And I had that sort of feminine role in my life, very much catered for. But my dad, on the other hand, he, although he was living in China, would still speak on the phone every night, but I didn't have that masculine presence with me. So it kind of affected my upbringing. And I wasn't entirely sure on how to be a boy or a man. So what that led me to, I guess, do is in Chinese culture or Asian culture, the parents put a lot of pressure on the kid to perform in terms of success and money. And in China, it's very much a godless society where they worship money as a god and success. So I was kind of instilled from a young age to pursue materialism, so money, wealth, money, status, fame as a metric of me, succeeding, and that my dad would be proud of me for. That's what I did. So the first thing I did was from the ages of 13 until about 19, 20, I was trying to pursue a professional soccer career. So I was, hustling in Sydney, going through all the rep levels and trying to make it there. And I actually ended up in the UK in 2013 on some trials with a few teams like, I don't know if you've heard of like AFC Wimbledon, a few of the other semi-pro teams. So I was there for about a year when I just eventually decided to quit. And I decided to quit because I realized that the more higher level I got to in football, the less I enjoyed it, the more political it got. And look, I'll be honest, like I wasn't good enough either. But the one thing that I really struggled with my whole childhood was the mental side of the game. I didn't have an identity in anything. It was more so like I was like a different person every day. I felt I was very like fleeting emotionally. And I was always taught as a kid, like, oh, your emotions are real and like, you know, it's all right for men to be sad and like lazy and stuff like that. So then what happened was I quit football, like cold turkey. And I decided to, you know, figure out my next step in life. And I was about 20 years old at this time, 2013. And I was in the UK. Nothing to do. I was just like broke, living in a share house after like making one of the biggest decisions in my life to quit football. And I was just very like confused, like what do I do now? And it kind of sounds cliche, but my mum, she wasn't a Christian, but she always raised me in like a more agnostic spiritual way where she'd believe in kind of like the universe, pray to the universe, crystals, bit of new age stuff, right? Like Dan's mum over here. And so I was dabbling in a lot of new age as well during the soccer days because I was always, you know, had performance anxiety, a lot of little trauma issues, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so I quit football in the UK, 20 years old, 2013. And when you kind of go through a crossroads in your life, at least for me, I was kind of confused. What am I going to do? So although I was in the pursuit of finding my next move, I was also trying to procrastinate and waste time. So what do you do when you do that? You watch videos. And during this time, it was a very select few people in Australia doing social media. In fact, it was during the Facebook days where everyone had Facebook, and it was like when you did those quizzes online, and this was before you know, Instagram even allowed videos. It was just like a meme platform. This was before TikTok, much before TikTok, and yeah, it was very early days. So I basically was lost, confused, no idea what to do, and I started watching all these prank videos online just to pass the time. And what I found was when I started watching these guys in Australia do these ridiculous pranks in public, something kind of sparked in me. I was like, wow, like for some reason I feel a drawing to do this myself, but why would I do this in the first place? You know, where would it get me? And then I kept watching, and it was weird because like I watched these guys and I'm like, wait a second, like I do this anyway. Like, why don't I just film it? But I was like, oh, you know, my dad always tells me don't ruin your job prospects by being a loony online and you know, just have a normal life, a safe life. But I was like, nah, there's something here. Anyway, wasn't until about 2 weeks after finding a few guys in Australia doing these pranks, me wanting to do them, I then found a group called the Genosians. And they were this group that blew up back in like 2011 from prank videos, and they became like A-list celebrities living in Hollywood, doing world tours. They became singers, like it was nuts. And when I found them during the time, that was my whole pursuit, right, of success and fame and wealth and stuff. And I was like, that's my sign. So I can actually do these videos and build a career out of it where I can achieve all these things I want to achieve. So I went cold turkey, bro. I just booked my flights back to Sydney the next day. And I remember going to the travel agent when you used to have to use them. I go, hey, I got to go back home. Here's all the money I have. Can you make it work? And I remember leaving that place and I had 5 pence left in my account. So I just had enough money for the ticket back home. So I get back home. Haven't told my dad I'm quitting football, by the way. He just thinks that I'm trying for a few years. He was pretty like sarcastic about me making it in the first place. He was like, you know, he was supportive, but like in the back, he was like, he's not going to make it. So I get back to Sydney, tell my mum, hey, I'm living with you again. I'm going to do this. And my mum's like, almost like blindly trusts my judgment with everything in like a cute sort of way. She's like, all right, well, I'll support you. And I'm like, Mum, you do realize.
I'm surprised by that. That sounds like every mum's worst nightmare.
Exactly. I go, Mum, you do realize I'm going to be going into public places, screaming and making sex noises in the middle of like tennis matches and shopping centers and cinemas and like posting it online. She's like, sounds like a great idea. So I started pursuing it. And what I also did was I ended up calling my dad. And he was like the guy I was scared of. I'm like, this guy's going to kill me. Hey, Dad, wanted to let you know I'm actually back in Australia. Sorry for not telling you. I'm actually pursuing a career similar to what you have, but online. I'm going to be doing ABC. Bro, the guy blew up at me. 2 hours on the phone. The phone was like a meter away from my ear, screaming at me. He goes, you're going to ruin your life. I'm in this field. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. Like, you do not want to enter this field. You're going to die. You're going to be broke and just homeless for the rest of your life. Little did he know that social media was a thing that was taking off. And I didn't actually know how much it was, but I had an inkling, like Bitcoin kind of thing. I was like, oh, this might be the Bitcoin of the future, even though I wasn't around then. So I started doing that, right? So I started pursuing social media, started making all these videos. And then basically what happened was it took me about 2 years to sort of blow up, you could say. And in those 2 years, I only gained about 9,000 subscribers, which wasn't much for the amount of effort and content I was putting out.
That was a lot for back then, though, wasn't it? What year was that?
Mate, 2 years grind. 9,000. That's a grind, even back then.
What year was that?
So I started making videos 2014 and 2015. So those were the 2 years.
What's that with inflation now? That would be
yeah.
50,000?
Yeah,
maybe.
Probably. There's obviously so many more users.
The subscriber inflation is a real thing.
Subscriber inflation. True. And that was when YouTube was the predominant platform. There was nothing else for videos, right? So yeah, I basically continued, and then in 2016.
What was one of the biggest videos that blew up initially?
It's funny because I actually in those 2 years had a very viral video. But there's a difference between going social media viral and media viral. So social media viral means that your video on social media gets like millions of views, right? Mm-hmm. But then media viral means that you've posted a video on social media, which all the media have taken, almost stolen, and posted on their own platforms. So you don't get the growth out of it. You get the exposure like through Google ads and views and stuff, but not the benefits. So I went media viral in those 2 years, but nothing actually happened out of that. Mm-hmm. Wasn't until I came across Facebook in 2016 where they just started to allow videos. And then, I guess it just started to snowball from there.
Interesting. So Facebook was the catalyst to really get things exploding. And doing the same content?
Yes and no. So the stuff I was posting on YouTube was a lot more planned out. Maybe 10-minute videos, a lot more crazy landscape filming. Yeah. And the Facebook stuff was literally, I'd be filming for YouTube 4 days a week. Yeah. As I was waiting for the train back home to Chatswood, I go to my mate, let's go into Woolies and just run amok for 2 minutes. Yeah. Jump onto the train, edit it, and just chuck it up. And that was the Facebook content. Okay. So that's what actually performed.
You know, just a quick question for people that are aspiring in YouTube and trying to like get YouTube famous or trying to monetize YouTube. A lot of the times people have this perception that, oh, you know, these guys, they just got lucky and, you know, they just blew up and they're massive. But, you know, Dan, you're like, I think nearly getting close to 100,000 subs on YouTube now. I mean, you know, you're near 1 million, I think it is. Can you guys just quickly give your take on the idea that it was all luck? Like, can you tell me like how much of a grind it was for you on YouTube? Just to let people know out there that it's a little bit more serious than what people think.
Mine's way more smaller than his, but I love media my whole life as well. So I was doing stuff that I tried YouTube probably 3 times.
Did you?
I was doing Snapchat. Like I was really going hard on Snapchat in like late, like, you know, sort of 2016 to 2018. Making videos, doing all bunch of things, man, like documentaries, vlogs, whatever. And I probably couldn't even get past 100 subscribers. And I was putting in the work literally every day. Like I knew how to do all the editing. I knew how to do all the stuff. I was making as best quality content as I could, but the discoverability back then wasn't as easy as it is now with the algorithms. Mm-hmm. So it was like back then you had to have a different launching platform like the media or like something else or like shareability to be able to like reach, whereas it's different today. But I struggled and I just couldn't make it work. Like no matter what I did, you know, on the street interviews, whatever, it didn't work. But it wasn't until after coming to Jesus that
you got blessed.
My whole life changed around. Yeah, and the first video we filmed for our channel, Deliverance Down Under, the Jesus testimonies, my wife's testimony of how she found Jesus. She came out of astrology, came to Jesus. We posted that thinking that could get 100 views. That'd be amazing. Wow. Within 2 months, it was 150,000 views.
Wow.
Our first video.
Wow. Okay, so you had divine intervention. Okay.
Absolutely, man. It's 100% God. I tried it myself 3 times, didn't work.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I had the devil on my side.
Yeah. And that's probably not a joke either.
No.
Yeah. That's the thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So before we go down, I guess, the spiritual side of things in terms of that, I just want to sort of center on the idea that, so you're probably mid-20s, early 20s by this stage?
Yeah, when things start to roll in.
Like say the Facebook comes out and you start to blow up a little bit. 22, okay.
22, 23.
And is this now starting to get monetized for you, starting to make money out of this yet, or does that come later?
Look, it's funny, man, because like in those 2 years, right, it was like that was the grind, that was the hustle. I then found, I guess, what worked, which was Facebook and shorter videos and just supermarket, just random noises and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so for the next year in 2016, that was, I guess, the year where, like, you know how I got 9K in 2 years. I then got 10K in a month, 50K in 2 months, 100K in 3 to 6 months. And so things started to snowball. Monetarily, though, I was still on Centrelink. I was still delivering pizzas 5 nights a week. I was still on, working at childcare centers. So it was this weird kind of phase I went through where I started to get known by people, like on the street.
Yeah.
So I remember like there was one video when I got to about 50K followers or so on Facebook, and I posted this one video, and I just remember this one video sort of changed everything for me. And the video was of me. It was like a video titled "When You Can't Afford to Buy University Textbooks," and what it was me going into a university, Sydney Uni and UTS, and just stealing people's textbooks and putting them in a trolley and just walking off and getting their reactions. That video got 500,000 views, which back then was decent, but it wasn't like viral. And I remember, because I used to go clubbing a lot back then, right? And I'd go clubbing and like I'd be a normal guy, no one would know me. From that one video being posted, the next weekend I went out, like not exaggerating because I know people do this, but like 15 to 20 people go, "That's the guy, can I get a photo with you?" And so from that point onwards,
Then the fame starts hitting you a little bit.
everything started, going nuts. And it's like your brain adjusting to that new way of life.
How old were you
like
when this happened?
23.
Okay, 23. Wow.
Yeah, so that whole year was just nuts. Like when people say like overnight, like fame happens, it's true. It's overnight. And so then I kind of
And then you would have had a heap of women throwing themselves at you and all that stuff because you're not exactly ugly. You are,
with this hairstyle,
I can say you're a good-looking boy. The thing is though that at that age, getting that much attention, and then I guess maybe there's the girls, and then the money starts rolling in. Like, so where did that take you? Where did that take you when that part of your life started actually growing?
Well, it's funny because I always had these kind of imprints in my life where it was, okay, in order to be successful, I had to be rich, I had to be famous, and I had to have a bunch of girls. Yeah. So I was already pursuing that even before the fame kicked in 2016. So when everything did start to happen, when people started to know me, it just magnified. That's why they say like money doesn't cure your problems, it magnifies them. So all that happened to me was that, it was more easily accessible, like the girls, for example. And instead of like, mucking around as I was before, it just like 10x kind of thing.
We don't need to get into the details.
No, we don't. No, but like, I guess I just saw girls like throwing themselves kind of thing. And it is true, like what you hear from people when they talk about it. The second thing that happened was, ironically, the money was like slow. So like the fame stuff happened first, but I only started to even earn my first $100 when like a whole year had passed of all that. And I started getting invited to do like nightclub appearances in like Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney.
Yep.
And then the money started kind of trickling in, but it was still very small then. Like my mates and I, at that point, you can say early 2017 right now, we were sort of living that high life where we were known by everyone, because I had a few mates in the industry pranks as well, but we were still broke, completely broke, staying in each other's houses.
But it's interesting, the perception.
Yes.
Super amount of fame, money, power, all these things, but really it's like it's still a grind.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. All right.
Were you playing into it at the time? Were you like pretending to be
It'd
rich?
be hard of course.
Not to, right?
Yeah. Of course, yeah. Because people perceive that about you. So it's like I just played it as if I was. Even though I was driving my mum's Toyota Corolla all day, every day, And I was still sometimes having to work at the pizza shop as well. Okay. So it was this weird thing, man. And being of the world back then, it really got to me.
Okay. So you wanted to start making some real dough.
Yeah. Of course.
Okay.
So what ended up happening was I wasn't making nothing, right? And this is before Facebook even got monetized. My YouTube videos, I was unfortunate to experience. Do you remember the ad apocalypse?
Oh yeah, that was rough.
So do you want to describe what it was?
Oh, basically, I can't remember the controversies. I think Jake Paul or what?
I think what happened was big telco companies in the UK started noticing that their ads were being played before terrorism, ISIS videos.
Yeah. I think it was a mix with that, and then there was massive controversies with big, like with PewDiePie, I think, and like Jake Paul and all of them started to get into like some big controversies. So then all of the major brands started pulling their advertising spend with YouTube, and back then you used to get paid like really well
for anything, bro. Anything, even the most like degenerate activity, you'd be paid for it as a video. Yeah,
and there was a lot less censorship and stuff like that. So people were just uploading whatever and getting paid heaps. And then so after that happened, a lot more censorship came into YouTube, a lot more like restrictions on who gets paid and against what kind of ads. And that's why like the modern monetization on YouTube's so strict now, like strict requirements. And like if you hit too many of, adult content here or too much swearing or too much this, it's like you get almost blacklisted from the advertising.
Unless
dollars.
it's about chemically castrating children. Then
That's okay. That's the highest CPM you'll ever get.
No problem.
How's this, right?
That's
I
all
actually
love.
remember the night that it all happened. I was in LA. I was living there for a year. And I remember waking up, all of a sudden, all my YouTube videos demonetized, deleted. They had no mercy. And I'm like, what happened? I was earning a few $100, a week from this stuff. And then my channel just plummeted. I got a strike against my channel for like a few videos just out of nowhere. So it happened so quick. And so for me at the time, the only way to make money was through brand deals.
How many subs did you have at this stage, do you reckon?
On YouTube, 100,000, Facebook, 1.5 mil or something around that. Yeah.
Okay.
Or 2 mil or something. And I was still broke, man. And the first brand that ever approached me was a brand called EduBirdie. And they were a plagiarism company where they go, hey, if you're struggling at university, we can do your essays for you. So I used to start promoting them because what was I going to do? I had no money.
Yeah, that's okay. That's called ChatGPT now.
now. And I pumped them, bro. Like they were like real sketchy, like Gmail address. But they were always honest about transferring, and it was before you actually posted the content as well.
Yeah, wow.
So I started pumping the brand deals, and I know I pissed off my audience a lot with that. But yeah, then I guess the money started to come in after.
Okay, nice. So money starts coming in, right? And so you got money now, you got some fame, you got the girls, you got everything. When does it get to the point where it's all it's cracked up to be?
Probably the whole time.
Oh, okay. So do you mean like you felt it was meaningless like throughout the whole process, or?
It's funny, right? Because like the night before, I'm skipping a bit, but I'll come back. The night before I got demonically possessed and my Christian journey started, I literally did a prayer, bro, to the universe. I go, universe, like help me. Like I'm never going to get married because if I do, I'll end up cheating on my wife. I'm stuck in this lifestyle. I'm trapped. I don't know what to do. Funnily enough, when I said that prayer, I didn't actually know that I was even thinking that. It just came out. Because going back, the whole time that I was living this way, I actually thought that like I had the best life in the world because my flesh was being satisfied. But I didn't even know that deep down I was like suffering. But I kind of did at the same time because I was still going to new age practitioners, all these problems, anxiety, depression, unfulfillment, even though I had it all. So it was this weird kind of contrast between like my spirit knowing that I wasn't happy, but my flesh actually thinking I'm happy, plus society telling me that I was, the ultimate of every man's dream. So I think that like the thrill of things, to answer your question, was real, like the high, but the low was also bad. It was like a drug, right? So the more you get into things, and obviously you can talk about this, it's like, especially with the sin that I was trapped in, it was never enough, bro. I remember I had one girl I was seeing, and she was a good girl, really good girl. Even now, like I'd consider her, but I couldn't be with her because I was just so caught up in that lifestyle, and it was never enough. So I guess like it's weird, like even thinking about that time because I was like satisfying my flesh so much, but it was just never enough, and I was still unfulfilled and broken, which is why I kept having to seek other things to, mask myself.
It's a hard thing, eh? It seems that it's good that you're sharing this because I think today, even though you say that was a bit of a cultural background for you growing up, knowing the Chinese culture about what you need to attain, money being a god and what have you, it's still very much speaking to the secular culture today.
Yeah.
That is the same thing. Your success is measured by what you do, how much do you earn, how people see you, and all those things. And so the idea hearing for someone like you, who's still on a massive journey, I mean, you're early 30s now, right? To know that that you achieved a lot of that, and it's not all cracked up to be. What was the point? What was the low point where you saw that change was a necessity to get out of this lifestyle? What was that moment?
Oh, it's hard, man, because like
was it a series of moments?
I think it was one moment, but like I think that the difficult part of living in that life where I didn't know God and I was an atheist was that like, and I was trusting the universe and my own emotions, was that like if I was going through a rough situation, I'd always resort to pleasure. So it was like this loop. problem here. Don't feel good. Try some new age, didn't work, and go back to sex. And so then I do that, then it just exacerbate the underwhelm I felt already. And then I'd be like, okay, more new age, didn't work, back to, you know what I mean? So it was this constant loop. And the pivotal moment was kind of what I brought before, was when I said that prayer to maybe God. God obviously heard me, you know, saying that I don't know how to get out of this lifestyle. And I just remember saying it without even realizing that I didn't even want to be in this lifestyle, because I genuinely thought I was going to live my whole life until maybe 40, just like, you know, being a player, get it out of my system, and then get married. That's what I actually thought. Everyone around me supported this as well. I didn't have one person in my life tell me that what I was doing was bad. Not one. Like,
well, listen, let's be real, man. Like, I think I could say your mum's European, right? You said?
Background.
Hungarian.
Yeah.
The European cultures,
Different.
whether Italian, Greek, Lebanese, Hungarian, I mean, I don't think a son can do wrong in a mother's eyes. You know,
bro,
what
she
I mean?
loves me
Like,
so much. Exactly.
She loves you to the point where actually you're probably doing damage because you're not applying that correction.
Yeah,
You know, I can do no wrong in my mother's eyes to this day.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know
that's
what I
right.
mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's actually one of the hard things of being a Christian, especially if you're a parent, is loving God first and putting the children second.
Yeah.
That's another kettle of fish.
Most parents can't even fathom that. Hey.
Yeah. And the thing is, because terrible things are done in the name of love. You'll do anything to justify love, right?
Yeah.
You kill for love. You know, so that's a real distorted version of what love is, or what God presents true love is.
Yeah.
But with that said, so you do this prayer to the universe, a prayer that you thought you didn't have in you. What happens next?
So what happened next was I went to bed, and I actually had booked myself in for a Reiki healing session. And for those of you guys, Dan knows that all too well. Do you want to explain what Reiki is?
That's a trigger word for me now.
Yeah.
Oh, Reiki is supposedly started with I don't know, I think there's different origin stories. One of them is that a Japanese man was standing on a mountain, like praying to the universe or whatever, and received this spiritual power to heal, and then began teaching on how to do it. And basically it's like a spiritual energy healing where it's like a modality. You have different symbols that you can write on people, and using your hands, a transfer of energy, spiritual energy for healing. And so this is something that's basically been spun off into an entire pseudoscience, or an entire industry of like these days. Even in Australia, you know, there's a Reiki healer on every street corner, you know, that you could go to receive this healing. But really, what it is it's a demonic spirit that's bringing a counterfeit
if I could
healing.
just interject, you're talking with a level of skepticism in your voice, and that's not on the basis that it's not real. Your skepticism is on the basis that it's very real.
Very real.
It's very real, but it's this. What's the source of that power?
Exactly.
So,
and spoiler alert, clickbait alert. Sorry, Dan's a deliverance minister, so he casts out demons from people, including myself. So just wait around for that.
Yeah, good context. But
It's gonna be the intro.
yeah, the thing is, like, the devil cannot create anything new. He's a counterfeiter. So he counterfeits everything that God does. And one of the gifts of the Holy Spirit is healing. So obviously the devil likes to create counterfeit versions of that gift to suck people in to the wide path that leads to hell. And there's many different flavors of that wide path. There's many different lanes on that wide path, and they come in different flavors, whether that's Reiki healing, crystal healing, you know, healing through meditation, healing through breath work, whatever it is.
Let me play the devil's advocate, so to speak, here.
Skepticist.
All right? There's someone that who says Reiki is really, really good. They've enjoyed it. They've had benefits out of it, and they've helped them.
Yep.
Why, for those people that feel that they're benefiting from Reiki, why do you say it's bad?
Yeah. So two main reasons. One is like, what's the source? So this podcast is called What Do You Mean by Good, right? What we know to be good is God. So anything outside of God is not good. You're separating yourself from good. It's bad. So the other sources, because there's many different flavors and many different sources of other types of power that is very real. Nothing compared to God's power, but we have to acknowledge that there is a level of power that comes from the demonic spirits, because they want to offer you something to pull you in so that you don't even consider Jesus as the answer. Because the more they can fulfill you with these other things, these other practices, these other powers, the less likely you are to go after Jesus. And so they will give you a counterfeit version of healing. And what that means is, to those people who might feel like it worked for them or whatever, it's only a matter of time before things come crashing down and you end up significantly worse than you were before.
It also gets them down that rabbit hole even further, where they have to go
Yes.
do more extreme things.
So a lot of the reason why people feel better when they do these things is because what they're actually doing is they're not being healed, they're progressing. So like anything, when you progress, when you invest in things, like university, for example, I think a lot of us here agree that a lot of university these days is a scam, but people get so invested in it.
Not when they tell men to cut the genitals and like, turn women into blue-headed feminists. That's pretty that's money well spent, isn't it?
That's a whole other can of worms, but I agree.
Science.
So
Don't you believe in science?
I do.
The more you invest in these things, the more you progress down the rabbit hole, like Jamie said, the more fulfilled you feel like, the more it's feeding you, the more you feel like you're on the right path.
But it's temporary.
Exactly. It's temporary before everything comes crashing in, because the devil always cashes that check and you end up way worse than you were before.
That was a great explanation.
It is. And I'll just add to something. One thing that you said there about how you feel. It's interesting that the people that take this path and actually start to become more invested and take it more seriously, it seems to lead to some self-glorified state.
Yes.
That everything that you're doing, it's working, and I believe, and I can show you, and I can teach you, and I know more. And it becomes a little bit more Gnostic. Yeah, you know that's what I mean? Like it becomes this state where you're doing all these things, and it's so good. And then all of a sudden you become like a moral arbiter of the universe.
Yes.
You know what's right for people. You know what to do. You know the truth.
You know
and
the secrets.
And a basic philosophical principle, and that's the reason I named this podcast. What do you mean by good? I was talking with a New Age person that does all this stuff the other day, and she was always about no harm, and it's really good to do this thing, and the
Sounds
energy
good.
and the universe. And I just asked a simple question, like, what do you mean by good? Well,
Feels good.
Good feelings.
no, you just told me
vibes.
you're the God on this planet.
Yeah.
We're all God and you're God. I mean, you can't tell me what good is. And it's like, wow, with all this amazing knowledge and all these things that you've experienced, you don't have the basic tenets of morality.
Yeah.
It seems just, and so that's where it leads you down. It seems that's a doorway, like a drug, a gateway drug into something deeper.
I want to clarify, I'm not speaking from a place of ignorance, because I think a lot of people assume that sometimes. I grew up in a house where my core family members were a part of a Chinese Buddhist temple for 10 years, studying under yoga masters who were doing kinesiology, Reiki, and all of these things. I grew up in it from 5-6 years old to my 20s, So I was surrounded by this. And then if you go to Deliverance Down Under, quick plug of my YouTube, you can see there's quite a few testimonies of people who were Reiki masters. They studied this stuff for 6-7 years. They became masters, were teaching other people, and they are exposing the truth behind this as well. So if you don't want to hear it from me, I recommend go hear it from them.
And just on a side note, I've only filmed my testimony once. A lot of people ask me for it. It's actually on Dan's channel. So if anyone wants to check it out.
Like and subscribe.
And they all complain about the spelling of skeptic.
Yeah, that's
you remember that? The American
UK
spelling.
Australian spelling of skeptic with a C.
I know. So you do this Reiki session.
Yeah.
So what happens?
So this was March 30, 2021 at like 12 p.m. So look, it's a very long story, like 3-hour story. And I can't reveal everything because it's very controversial as well. But I will say that basically what happened was I walk into this lady's house. And just to preface as well, how I found this lady was I was actually, I've been living in Sydney, Melbourne back and forth for some time now. And around that time in my life, I would basically go to Melbourne as my escape, because I'd get bored in Sydney. I'd be like, I want to go party in Melbourne, just see a bunch, and then hopefully feel better. So I decided to move back to Melbourne in March 2021. So I was just going to be there for, some time. So I was seeing this girl at the time, and I was telling her about a few things I was going through. Because as I said before, like I was very unfulfilled, lost, depressed, and I didn't know what to do. And she goes, I actually, my family and I have been going to this Reiki healer for years now. She's really great. She lives in the northern suburbs of Melbourne, and she'll fix you, We always go, and sometimes the Reiki is so powerful that all the cars in the streets, their sirens start going off. Down shivering as I'm telling you this. And I'm like, oh, sounds great. Little did I know I was going to get possessed in a second. So I'm like, cool. So I booked in a session with her. And I went to her house, right? And For me, like, you know how you're around someone, you can get a vibe off them, like an energy of some sort, right? So back then I was kind of like a little bit spiritually dead to that sort of stuff. I'm definitely nowhere near like as spiritually sensitive as Dan is, for example. However, I remember I walked into this lady's house through her door. The first thing I felt was this absolute like tangible wave of energy hit me like in the face or like all over my body, like literally tangible. It's hard to describe or think about that, right? But
Did it feel dense?
it was a nice, warm, thick energy.
Interesting.
But it felt really good. I was like, that's nice, but that's really weird. I just felt that. Anyways, she basically sits me on the couch. She goes, oh, hey, nice to meet you. And she goes, we're going to start doing some future fortune telling. And in my head, I'm like, I didn't sign up for this, but sure, let's go ahead. She starts telling me these things like, oh, in a couple of months, you're going to meet this person. You're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. Bro, half the stuff she said was inaccurate. Anyway, so then she goes, okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to release some unresolved trauma. So she's like looking around my body. She's like, yeah, I can see you've got like some anger problems. And I'm like, no, definitely don't have anger problems. Let's release that right now. I'm like, all right, close my eyes. I feel it's at like a 7 out of 10. I'm like, okay. And she waits for a few seconds, doing some weird stuff with her hands. She's like, now it's a 2 out of 10. I'm like, yeah, I just had to agree with her, bro. Mm-hmm. Everything she was doing was wrong. Then, this is the main part. She goes, all right, now that's done. Let's go do the actual Reiki healing. So I'm like, all right, this is what I paid for. Let's go. So she lies me on this a massage bed on my back. And all she does for the next 45 minutes is she tells me she's going to open up my chakra points. And for those of the guys out there that don't know what that means, it's like in Hinduism, they believe that there's different energy centers in the body. One in your third eye, one in your heart center, in your throat.
There's 7 of them or something.
7 of them, yeah. So she started being like, I'm just going to intuitively open up the ones I think you need to be opened up. And the reason that she believes opening them is very important is because apparently they get, like stuck. There's like trapped energy in there you have to release to like heal yourself and all that sort of stuff. So what she did was she put her 2 hands like this in the shape of a triangle on the back of my head like that for about 15 minutes. Then she put 1 hand like this on my chest like that. And then for the next 20 minutes, I didn't feel a thing, right? So I didn't know what she was doing, but she was probably waving. And during the session, I remember feeling like really, I suffered from OCD my whole life about many different things, hypochondria, you name it, like everything. And so I remember in the session, as she was doing this, I started getting these really dark thoughts, very dark. And I can't sort of talk about what they were either, but really bad stuff. And I was like, what's going on here? So we come out of the Reiki session. She goes, how do you feel? I'm like, weird. She's like, oh, that's normal. Don't worry. Just drink some water. You're probably dehydrated. That's part of the Reiki. And I start telling her about these weird things I'm thinking about. She's like, oh, that's great. That's natural. That's good. I'm like, no, it's not. She's like, yeah, trust me. Like, that's you. You should like really take them seriously and like, we've opened you up. And she goes, what I did actually was I opened up your head, your heart, and your sexual energy chakras. And she's like, it's going to be amazing now, see you later. And bro, I remember just like getting home that day and I felt like I was in a dream, like I was high on like some drug. And the first thing I noticed was these demonic thoughts just were swarming my head. I could not get rid of them.
And you've never experienced this before?
No, ever in my entire life. And so then I get home and I feel this like really weird, like in the middle of my heart, like almost in the digestive tract, this like ball of like emotion. It was really weird. But I felt like I had to burp out, but I couldn't burp it out. And it was like the worst emotional, like horrible feeling you can ever imagine, like depression, frustration, just in this ball. And I couldn't get it out. It just appeared out of nowhere. I never had it in my life. From then onwards, I started having digestion problems. I've had acid reflux for a few years now. It's obviously a lot better now, but it's physically damaged me. Second thing, I went to bed that night. I was so cooked. I didn't know what was going on. And I start having these really dark, like, I can't even say what they are, but really dark thoughts. Like, that's all I'll say. And what would happen is when I would say, I don't want to think about this, bro, I would be attacked by something in my body, like stabbed for not wanting the thought. Like literally there was something that was punishing me from not allowing these to creep in. And I've never in my entire existence ever thought these things ever. And so I knew that something was wrong. I'd be, next day I wake up and I'm driving around, going to the gym and stuff. I found a gym that was open during COVID, and I'd have these thoughts just flood me. And it was just like, whenever I didn't want it, I'd say, go away. I don't want you. Be attacked, be attacked, be attacked. So next thing that happened was every night from that point onwards, exactly 1 hour after falling asleep, I'd be awoken with a shock, with something like stabbing my chest. And it wasn't long until during this time I found out that I had like a heart problem out of nowhere. Like, how do you explain that? I was 28 years old. I got diagnosed with atrial fibrillation. And all these other...
Is that where there's a beat skipping or something like that?
So the ventricles are off beat. Yeah, the top and the bottom ones. And I'm like 28 years old, And then like just all this other stuff, bro. Like I started to become more left-hand dominant than right. Like things you can't explain. And so that just brought me on this journey of like, what on earth has she done? And she failed to take all accountability.
Back to her?
I called her. I go, what have you done to me? She's like, what do you mean? Like, go see this therapist. It's not to do with me. You probably just have some trauma coming up.
Okay,
like, no.
Just very quickly, just quick interjection, because this is crazy and this is really interesting. I did a podcast with a Dr. Emily Mills in Townsville, who's a doctor of psychology and a self-professed witch.
Oh, okay.
And I thought that's
one of our best mates.
She did all the self thing and all this Reiki stuff, and I thought it was an interesting podcast. Anyway, in the podcast, and we're discussing things, it was a grace-based discussion. I asked her, I go, do you believe in good spirits and bad spirits? She goes, yeah, we do. I go, what happens when you encounter like an evil spirit or a bad spirit? She's like, well, she basically said she doesn't know what to do.
Hit up this guy.
No, that was the interesting part, right? And now you're relaying a story where she's opened something up, something's gone in here, and she's now, I can't help you.
Nothing, bro.
Which is kind of like basically what this other lady said in this podcast I did. Anyway, so she tells you to go see a therapist or something.
Yeah. So 2 days later, I go. Hey, I'm trying to call her, and her phone's not working. She sends me a message saying, hey, I'm in the wilderness. I've got no reception. I'll get back to you in 2 days. But in the meantime, go see this therapist. You need it.
It's probably at Maya.
Probably. So then she calls me back when she gets into Melbourne again. She goes, oh, look, I think it's just, something's been brought up and you're not ready for it or something. And you've just got to go speak to this therapist. Like, she just palmed everything off to this guy. And I even I was saying, like, my mum, she's like my best mate. I was telling her everything as well. She's like, that lady did something to you. I know she did. And yeah, she just sent me to this therapist. So what ended up happening was I went to this therapist. And I went to many other therapists and many other new age.
Psychologist or
counselor, psychologist, yeah.
Okay.
And they all said to me, there was all in my head. It's OCD, you've had it your whole life and get on this drug. And I got diagnosed with severe depression and OCD and anxiety. And here's your meds, take them, you'll feel better. I also went to more new age people like I don't know why I just pointed at you just then. I was speaking to a shaman as well. I was speaking to some people that did kind of like a mixture of new age. So it was like some Maori healing plus it was some Reiki or something like that.
And this is all an attempt to just get back to a state of normalcy.
Yeah, I just wanted to be who I was before I walked in that door.
And you're still having these thoughts.
Yeah, bro. Flooded, man. It was horrible. Wow. And no one knew what was wrong with me. It was all like, it's in your head. Just don't listen to them. I'm like, that's cool, but like I'm being physically damaged. Now I have a heart problem. Now I have a digestion problem. Now I want to kill myself. Now I'm hearing voices saying jump off the balcony and having fantasies of these things as well. Wow. And all these other things. So
and just real quick, you hear about these people that have encounter fame, money and things like that. And you hear terrible stories, how it ends for sometimes these people. And you wonder how much of this is actually spiritual. There are these whisperers. I'm sure there's a level that's physiological. You do heaps of drugs and heaps of things. And
I didn't really take drugs, bro.
Well, that's a good clarification there.
I used to do cocaine a couple of times, ages ago. I did mushrooms once.
Yeah.
Nothing else really. Weed twice. That's it.
And so, like, you hear these stories and you ask yourself, okay, how much of this is spiritual? In your case, it's very spiritual.
It's 100%.
Wow.
Yeah. And leading on to my next point, which is what you kind of just brought up, I started having these like suicidal fantasies, which in my life I've never ever had, ever. I would actually pray every night because it got so bad that the universe would just kill me in my sleep. I was praying to whoever I was praying to, just like begging them to kill me. And I'd wake up the next morning, I'm alive, I'd have a tantrum.
Why were you, like Were these the suicidal thoughts, or were
Yeah.
these like, oh, I can't do it anymore type thoughts?
Both, because everything that was happening, there was just
Too
so many
much.
things going on at the one time.
Wow.
Plus, on top of that, I started having suicidal thoughts, hearing a voice telling me to kill myself. I was actually at a point where I was scared of myself. I would start imagining myself going to the kitchen with a knife, getting a knife out and stabbing
wow.
myself. There'd also be this recurring theme every Sunday, really weird, during this time. This was about 10 months I was going through all this, very severe. Every Sunday, it was interesting because a few of my friends knew what was happening. My mum did. And they actually had to make a WhatsApp group without me being in it to just monitor me. Every Sunday, we noticed there was a theme. Even I noticed this, where we used to call it a freak out. Like Jamie's going through a freak out. It's Sunday. And every Sunday, for some reason, it just gets so overwhelming that I had to disappear. And they all thought I ended it because I kept saying, like, I'm going to end it soon. Like, I was telling people that. I was even telling my mum every morning, like, it was weird because I look back now and it was very demonic. When I woke up every morning, the first thing would happen was I'd have this tantrum. I'd start throwing things around the room, even screaming, get this thing out of me without even knowing what was happening. And then messaging my mum saying, ha ha ha, you're going to have no son by the end of today. Like, ha ha ha, I'm going to kill myself today. My mum had to call the cops multiple times, ambulances. This was every day, bro, every day. And so the Sunday thing was extra weird because every Sunday I had a freak out. I'd go missing. Cops would rock up in my apartment. They couldn't find me. My mum's crying. Where's my son? My Sydney friends had to start contacting my Melbourne friends. Like, it was just nuts. This whole year I was going through all this. And then it got to a point it was so bad where I ended up like having, you could call it some sort of like suicide attempt. And basically what happened was it was in May. So I'd been going through this for about 3 months so far. Not everyone telling me you're not, like, nothing's wrong with you. It's in your head. And all these things happening to the point where I ended up going to Sydney for my mum's birthday. And I was staying with her. And one morning, bro, it just got too much. I was like, I'm out. And I sprint down to the bottle shop nearby. And as I'm running, I'm writing this suicide note on my Instagram story for my close friends. And I'm like, a couple months ago, I did this Reiki healing session. Ever since then, my life's been completely destroyed. I can't do this anymore. Someone take care of my mum. Goodbye. And I posted it on my story. And as I posted it, I rock up to BWS, get a flask of Smirnoff, a small one, in the brown paper bag. I sprint to the Oval, Chatswood Oval, the one I grew up in. You know how there's a train track nearby?
Yeah.
So I sit semi-close to that, and I start sculling, just hoping I'm just going to get drunk enough to just fling myself. And by the time I'm like blind drunk, which doesn't take me long, I see like all my friends are calling me, like nonstop. Everyone's calling me. They're like, "Are you okay? Please don't do anything stupid." And I'm just there crying, bro. I even filmed this whole thing. Like, I've got videos of this. And I remember, like, it was such a blur, but all of a sudden, like, I remember my mum starts calling me. And for some reason, I just picked up. I'm like, yes, I'm at the Oval. I'm here. And in, like, it felt like the space of 2 minutes, I see like 2 ambulances, 3 cop cars rock up. I see my best mate Chris sprinting across Chatswood Oval, just like running towards me. My mum's running on the other side. I see mates that I've had. This was in Chatswood. Mates from Fairfield have driven up to see me. Like 3 or 4 people were there. And everyone's like, you're going to be okay. Like, we promise, like, we're with you. Like, don't do anything stupid. Like, we've got you. And I then had to go to the hospital for a mental health checkup. And I got there. They do some assessments on me. They're like, hey, thanks for filling in all those details. From our observations and calculations and professional opinion, you're all good to go home. There's nothing wrong with you. I'm like, bro, like, I don't want to be in hospital, but look at me. Like, this is what I've just attempted. And they go, yeah, we get you guys all the time. I'm like, what the hell, man? So go home. Still the same thing. Like, nothing's worked. And I went back to Melbourne. I decided because I don't know. I was just very, like, sporadic. And yeah, man, it just kept getting worse. Then went to an Indian astrologist, which, I speak about quite openly, a Hindu astrologist, made things quite worse. But the good thing was he pointed out that I probably have demons. So I was like, this is the only thing that can be happening to me right now. There's nothing else that makes sense. And so we went through a whole process. That's a whole story.
You're starting to think this is a supernatural problem.
Now I do. Yeah.
At that time, though, when you got told that, like the idea of a
Yes.
supernatural, is that the first time that you sort of thought this might be this cause?
Look, I think I knew all along, deep down.
Okay.
But I was being told by everyone, nah, man, it's mental health, you're just depressed. You just got OCD. you know, I don't know, like,
Bro, first off, I thank you for sharing this, because obviously it's very personal, you know, what you went through there. And I think it's good that you can actually talk about it confidently as well, because it's a painful experience, because there's mental illness now, bro. And people are going through so much anxiety. People are going through so much depression, especially post-COVID, right?
Yeah.
It's a serious issue. And it's not like, hearing your story now, it's not like this was, even though you did find out it was a spiritual issue, it's not like you didn't pursue all the avenues.
No, I tried everything.
And there's so many people in a similar boat now where they're pursuing all those avenues. I myself went through a very, very difficult time with anxiety for years, and it took a long time before I found that light, you know, the Holy Spirit light. And these type of moments and these stories can really bless a lot of people in giving them another option. Not to say don't stop seeing the psychologist, don't stop, you know, trying to be healthy, you know, pursue what avenues that you need. And I tried it all too, from Wim Hof ice baths to acupuncture to the whole thing, right? But hearing someone go, hey, there was another option here. So when did that happen for you?
As I said, man, like my mum's like been such a big, you know, person in my life of influence, and she's always been super open-minded. So although she kind of didn't know what was going on with me, she always was more so on the side of like, maybe it's this or that or this or that, but nothing was off the cards. And so what happened was, she kind of just said like, she gave me a few phone numbers to contact. There was a few people in Melbourne that I was speaking to, and one of them or two of them kind of brought something up spiritually. And then, I don't know, it just got to a point where I tried everything. And I'm like, I really need to start going into the spiritual side of this. And I found, I typed in how to heal spiritual problems Melbourne. And this like Google.
That's a dangerous Google search.
I know, man. And I was like, okay, cool. So like what's popped up? And there was this guy called, I was about to say his name, I shouldn't. This Hindu Indian astrologist from Melbourne can heal black magic and heal your problems and cast out demons and stuff. So I'm like, all right, sweet as. So I messaged this guy. Go, hey, excuse me, I've got a problem. I think it's spiritual. Can you help me? And he goes, yeah, I want you to just basically send me your full name, date of birth, and a photo of yourself. And I'm going to get back to you. I'm going to do a reading and I'll get back to you. So then I do this, and I remember I went to the gym. And as I'm at the gym, he calls me. He's like, because my real name is James. He's like, James. He's like, I found something. You got to come see me straight away. I'm like, okay, sure. So I go drive to him. I drop everything, just drive to him. And the first thing I notice is like, he's just like, he almost looks like a Buddha, but like a Hindu version. And I go into his clinic, and he starts like doing the same thing as the Reiki woman did. He starts looking around my body. He's like, yeah, I see like a black outline. I'm like, here we go. Now we're talking. Someone's got some answers for me finally. So I actually felt good. I'm like, thank God, like someone's been sent into my life that actually has, you know, makes some sort of sense. And then basically what happened was he goes, look, I'm keen to like help you, but it's going to cost you money. I'm like, bro, take my money. I don't care. Like, I'll give you all of it at this point. So it's going to cost you $1,000, but I promise that I'm going to help you heal and you're going to be sweet. I'm like, okay, cool. Go down to the ATM, get it out. There you go. He does some prayer over the money. And he goes, cool, what we're going to do is this. I'm going to basically be praying for you over the weekend. And what I want you to do is take this. And he hands me like a red handkerchief. And there's dry white rice inside of it. He goes, what I want you to do is I want you to take this red handkerchief with the rice and go to a beach of your choice at 8 p.m. at night or around that time. And I want you to say this prayer and throw it into the ocean. Dan's like, oh. He's like, I know what that's going to do. And he gives me a little pendant as well to wear. He goes, this is your protection. Go wear it. So I'm like, all right, cool. So over the weekend, I go to St. Kilda Beach. I think it was that night actually. Do my Indian prayer, chuck it in the ocean. Anyway, Sunday night comes around and I still feel like the same. Like I don't feel any better. And he goes, oh, I want you to come see me tomorrow. I'm like, okay, cool. So I go into his office on Monday and he goes, look, you know, it's really weird. Like I was praying for you for like 3 hours on Friday night and Saturday night, trying to send you positive energy. But for some reason, you're the first person I've ever experienced this with. The energy bounced back. You didn't receive it. I was like, what does that mean? He's like, it just didn't work. But don't worry, I've got you. We're gonna heal you, like I promise. He goes, all right, next thing we're gonna do is I want you to use this. I might be getting this order wrong. Just people out there that have heard this before. It's a very complicated time of my life. It's just, this kind of happened around this time. He goes, here, I want you to bathe. I want you to hold this. Take this with you. He gives me a glass cylinder jar with turmeric water and turmeric. He goes, I want you to shower in this twice a day. I'm like, cool, I'll do it. And so I go back to my apartment. I start showering in turmeric water twice a day. And then he gets me to do things like, just different prayers, all these things. Anyway, doesn't work, right? Go back to his office. He's like, you're a very tricky one. In 17 years of this practice, I have never met someone like you that the energy just, like, you're not allowing yourself to be healed. And then I kind of started.
You're like, I'm trying.
And in the state I was in back then, it was like, here we go again. Like, now what? It's not even spiritual. So now what? There was just no answers for me. And he goes, but I wanted to try one more thing. He goes, I want you to go home and I want you to find a t-shirt that you don't really like, but I want you to wear this t-shirt for 7 days in a row. Do not take it off unless you shower, put it straight back on. So we're talking going to the gym, sleeping, everything I have to do it in this t-shirt. He goes, because...
Grosses me out.
Yeah. And it was summer in Melbourne. You know what summer's like in Melbourne for those 2 months. And I'm like wearing this t-shirt, right? And I've got to still do stuff in the day. I've still got to work. And I'm like sniffing my armpits. I'm like, am I all good? And it turns out I am because I'm Asian. And I'm just like self-conscious the whole time. Anyways, after 7 days, I go back to see him. He's like, perfect. You've done it for 7 days. The reason I wanted you to wear this t-shirt for so long was because the t-shirt is the closest item that will pick up your body frequency. So we can do something with it now. And this is where things get crazy, like really crazy. So he goes, cool, come into my prayer room. I haven't seen this room, right? So this guy's got like a office, 3 rooms, one kind of kitchen, one is his office, and then the middle room I've never been in before. Opens a door, it's like a shrine, like the Taj Mahal's in there. It's like Indian gods and statues and turmeric and spices and everything's in there. Like, it feels magical almost. He goes, all right, what I want you to do is take off the t-shirt and I'm going to cut it in half and give you half and keep half for myself. I'm like, okay. And he goes, what I now want you to do is I want you to get a piece of your fingernail, a piece of your hair, and spit into the t-shirt, into your half of the t-shirt. I'm like, okay, so I do that. He goes, now what I want you to do is I want you to blow on the t-shirt gently, like that. And I'm going to be over here, like a meter away, waving a scarf around and chanting, and we're going to get these demons out of you. And he goes, you've got some very strong demons. Like, we got to do this properly. So I'm there, right? T-shirt, fingernail, hair, spit in my hand. That's all I have. And I'm blowing on this t-shirt, just thinking like, this guy's spinner. Like, who am I going to go to next? And he's over here and he's waving this orange scarf around, chanting all the gods, Allah, Krishna, Hindu, Jesus even.
Interesting.
Buddha, everything. And I don't know what he's doing. And so I'm just like sat there just blowing this t-shirt and nothing's happening. He stops. He goes, James, it's not working again. I'm like, oh man, like, what do I do?
I need more money.
Yeah, not yet. And then he goes, but I'm not going to give up. I need you to have intent behind what you're doing. I need you to say, get these demons out of me, and then something should surely happen. I'm like, fine. So I'm there again. He starts his little chant. I'm thinking this guy's a spinner, but I'm trying not to. I'm like, all right, let's do this. So I'm like, get these things out of me, get these things out of me. And I really did focus. I'll be real. I really focused. 1 minute goes past. 2 minutes goes past. 3 minutes goes past. Bro, all of a sudden, right? All of a sudden, just remember, industry t-shirt, fingernail, hair, spit. Do you know what happens? So the bottom right of my t-shirt starts burning on fire. I'm like, what the? I'm like, wait. I'm like, he's like, there it is. Bro, the guy Ian Thorpe dives onto the t-shirt and I'm just sitting there and the guy's like being flung around the room by this t-shirt. Like the t-shirt's flinging him around the room. And I'm like slapping myself. I'm like, this isn't real. Like, what's going on? He's like, help. He's like, quick, get me the jar. And he tries to put the t-shirt in the jar. That's what his intention was. Because the spirit's in the t-shirt apparently. And he starts swearing at the t-shirt. He starts spitting on it. He starts putting water on it. But like it's full throwing him around the room. All of a sudden he screams in pain. He's like, turns his forearm over. And there's a black like burn mark, like a pitch black mark on his wrist, on his forearm. I go, what's that? He goes, it bit me. And he goes, get out of the room. It's too dangerous. So I go out of the room. I'm thinking I just witnessed a horror movie or I'm in some dream. I don't know what's happening. Maybe I'm in hell. I don't know what's happening. He comes out of the room, puffed. He's like, all right, come to my office, quick. He's like, James, in 17 years, I've never seen such demonic spirits in a person in my entire life, you could say. And he goes, bro, I know what to do. Don't worry. I'm like, all right, what do we do? I've seen it all now. Like, how much money do you want? I didn't say that, but I didn't care at this point. And he's like, what you need to do now is we have to do a second exorcism, but we have to protect you. And what we need to do is create 2 Indian Hindu statues using the 5 elements of the earth to protect you. So gold, silver, iron, copper, bronze. He goes, I can get all the materials for you besides the gold. You got to get 200 grams of it for these statues to be protected. So when you do the exorcism next time, you'll be protected because they're too powerful. They're going to kill you. I'm like, say less. So I leave. And as I'm walking out, he goes, by the way, I need you to dispose of this spirit in a bin somewhere. I'm like, what? He's like, you got to bring
Just in a regular
car.
bin, just, you know.
Yeah. I go, where do I go? He goes, just go somewhere far out, not near like any homes, and chuck it in the bin. And so he gives me a plastic bag, and I'm holding the spirit in a jar. My t-shirt is in there, obviously. And I'm like, because I didn't know what this spiritual world was all about. I was like, Satan or someone's going to come strike my car down. So I had to drive out all the way to like Taylor's Lakes area in Melbourne, very far away. I'm looking for a bin anywhere. I didn't want to obviously dispose of it next to someone's house, but I had no choice. So I'm just like, screw this. I chucked it in the bin and I left. Then he calls me again and he goes, James, I got something to tell you. I'm like, what is it? And he goes, after you left, I had another client, 2 more clients in. And the moment they entered like the office space, they heard crying and screaming noises from the room that you and I were just in. And I'm like, bro, like I've heard it all. And anyway, so then what he told me to do was he goes, we have to essentially do a second exorcism, but you have to get the gold for me, 200 grams of gold. I go online. Do you know how much it costs? Take a guess.
200 grams is about, what, 10 ounces? So like, what was it? Like
20?
15 grand or something?
17.
Wow.
But like, bro, like think of my position at this point.
What happens to that 200 grams after you use it?
I'll tell you.
Oh, come on. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, what we need is a Bitcoin. And we get this digital Bitcoin, we're going to clothe it in this.
We can send the
unbelievable,
demon to
bro.
the digital world.
Hang on a second.
And then
Do you believe this is real, what he was doing, or not?
Before I answer that question, Dan.
Wow, because I'm kind of like lost now. Like, 'cause
Yeah.
now the money side of things now is like, oh, this starts to feel like a scam now.
Yeah. Let's go to an ad break real quick. Dan, do you want to explain to the viewers what you think the Indian healer was doing? Because he was doing
it's
some
both.
witchcraft, bro.
I'd say it's both. So there's no doubt in my mind that there's a scam element to it, especially since it was really just a way to funnel money to him. I think that's pretty obvious. But whether he realizes it or not, and I think he probably does deep down, whether he admits it or not, is that the spiritual element to it is also real. So whether he had set that up with like elements in the clothing to set fire or like
Did he?
But it was my clothing.
Did he
Yeah,
have? Did he
yeah.
have the clothing before he gave it to you? Or did you hold it
No.
the whole time,
Dude, it was my shirt. I took it off. He cut it in half, gave it straight to me. It was in my palm of my hands. It was all my
Yeah.
stuff. It was my nail, my finger, my spit, my everything. That's
Okay.
why.
So
that's where I knew something
That's
was.
full voodoo
Yeah.
magic.
Full on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So whether he set it up or whether it happened that way, like it doesn't really matter because there's a spirit. The demons are there in the room. Like that part is real.
Wild, man.
He's definitely not casting them out of you. So it's like demons that were following you or that were already there. That he was likely already there.
I did have one
But
Indian.
we got to remember that the Bible is clear that the enemy does have power. So like even as far back as in Egypt, when Moses and Aaron came in to the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh's 3 sorcerers came and they threw their sticks down, they turned to snakes, right? And then Aaron threw the staff down and it turned into a snake and it ate the 3 snakes. So the sorcerers, the divinations, there's, even in the New Testament, we see, I think it was Paul, cast out a spirit of divination out of a fortune teller. So she was having genuine like psychic abilities.
Yeah, it's
Fortune.
not that the Holy Spirit's the only source. It's just
Yeah.
that it says that the other side is very real. It's just there's only one source of
But
goodness.
what we see is when the Pharisees confront Jesus, because we've got to remember that for all of time before Jesus came, if you were possessed by demons, there's nothing you could do about it. And so different cultures and different religions, like in this case, try to come up with ways to manipulate and make it look like they're solving the issue or whatever, because
they're actually like
there's
negotiating with it probably.
Well, there's a market for it,
Yeah.
right? There's a market for people wanting to get set free. They know that there's something in them that needs to come out. So that creates a whole marketplace for it from different religions, different cultures. And we see that today. Everyone has their version of an exorcism, in quotations, I'm saying. And like, even I went to a witchcraft store the other day to evangelize, and I said, do you have anything to get rid of evil spirits? They'll sell you sage, they'll sell you prayer candles, they'll sell you this, and this. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really do anything. It's just like people have a hunger for it. They don't know where to look. So there's a market that appears for it. So that's essentially what's happening, is that there's a scam element to it, yes, but there's the very real demonic powers behind it. That part's also real. So it's both. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what happens.
That would have been a terrible situation to be in, to see that, how real that stuff is.
Right.
And then the guy is not really giving you much solutions about it. But at this stage, you've seen so much crazy things. You're like, all right, 200 grams of gold. Okay, sweet.
And think about the state I was in as well. Exactly. I've been going through this the whole year. I'd almost tried to kill myself.
Yeah.
I'd do anything. I didn't. Money meant nothing to me. I didn't care. I'd give everything away.
Yeah, and they know that about you too. So
that's right. Yeah. So I go and get this 200 grams of gold because I had no choice, I thought. And I went to, it was funny because one of my best mates, his family owned a jewelry store. And I called him, I go, bro, how much would 200 grams of gold get me? Like, do you think there's anywhere good in Melbourne to get it? He goes, gold, let me ask my dad. Asked his dad, he's like, oh, this place. So I went to the place, got it straight away. Turns out a few months later, actually, I'll tell this story later. So I get the gold. And then it was actually Melbourne Cup weekend during this time. So the intention was for me to get the gold, give it to the master, for him to then weld it, and then for us to have the 2 statues and then perform the next exorcism, which was going to be the big one, apparently. So I get the gold, go to his office, and I go, here it is. He's like, oh, thank you, sir, thank you. He starts praying over it and stuff. He goes, well, it's Melbourne Cup weekend, so it might take a few days longer, but we're going to do this exorcism in about 3-4 days.
I'm laughing. Melbourne Cup weekend.
It's more important than this.
We're going to have to take this gold. We're going to put it on Mackay Diva.
I'm closed I'm closed on Monday, so the demon's going to have to wait.
Make 2 statues.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
So
I don't mean to make light of it. It's just that, like, it's just like the way you said it. It was just, you know what I mean? Like, it's just starting to feel like his solutions are scammy. Anyway.
Yeah, of course. No, facts. So I remember the day that he messaged me and he goes, cool, like, I've got the statues made up. We're going to do the exorcism tomorrow. And he goes, now tomorrow, I can't tell you what time it is, but it's going to have to be intuitively. But I need you to buy some items before you come to my office. He goes, what we're going to do in this next one is we're going to be doing an exorcism, but it's going to be much more powerful than before, because I could smell the demons in you, like they had a foul smell, and this is the one that's going to change your life. So next day comes around, and what am I supposed to think? Like, I'm in this state, and I've been in this state for almost a year now, just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like sitting in a park, just staring into space. Like, that was my whole life during that time. And I'm just like waiting for this guy to message me all day. And he sends me a message about 10 a.m. And I remember I was at St. Kilda Beach just meditating or something. He goes, James, tonight we're going to do it. 5:30 p.m. you're going to be at my office, but I need you to buy some things. I need you to buy a few bouquets of different color flowers, so red, yellow,
this
white.
This sound like a different party.
And think of it.
I need you to get a bottle of wine.
Yeah. And it's also just us two. He goes, I need you to go and get a few of those glass jars, those cylinder jars from Coles. I had to go buy some lemon, some limes, and a cutting knife as well, some turmeric powder. And then he goes, I need you to also wear all white, so top and bottom. And you know those like 1.5 litre Alkalife bottles?
Yeah.
He goes, I want you to buy 5 of them or 6 of them. And that's it. Come to my office. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm just going to trust this guy because he's obviously the master and he's got my money and gold and everything. So he's obviously going to heal me. So then I basically have all these things. And I remember like getting to the place where I was going to do the exorcism, which was his office. And I remember like I was so like scared of what was going to happen because I'd experienced it already. I knew what this whole thing was about now remotely. And then I was like, maybe I'm going to die. I don't know, because this is going to be powerful, right? So I ended up writing like a letter to my mom saying like, Mom, like if I die, like I love you. I tried everything and I'm sorry. And I ended up watching a video that my mom and I did where I, almost like a life goal I achieved where I was able to renovate her apartment for her 63rd birthday. And I was just crying, bro. I was like, this is the moment that it could make or break, essentially. And it was funny because although in hindsight, I wasn't going to the best of places, I was getting really badly spiritually attacked as I was walking from the car to his office. Like I started having those chest stabbings again. Something was attacking me. So what happens is I go upstairs. He goes, here's the gold, here's the statues, put them in your pocket. He goes, today's going to be the day where your life changes forever. And he takes me into the room, the same room. And he goes, it's going to be a very similar ritual that we do. But instead of us using a t-shirt, it's going to be us using a jar that you've bought. So he puts the flowers around the room, puts all the lime, lemon stuff. He cuts the lemon and lime on my knee, I remember, for some reason, like in a shape. And he goes, what I want you to do is hold this jar. So I get the jar that I bought. He gives me these spices, Indian spices. He goes, I want you to ingest these and we're going to start the process. So I take them, eat them. And I feel they kind of went to like, it almost like hit the spot to some degree, I felt, And he goes, what we're going to do now is we're going to get you to put a piece of hair again, fingernail and spit into the jar. And I'm going to get you to blow 3 times into the jar to make it like vapory inside of it. So I did that. And he goes, okay, now this is how the process is going to work. Very similar but different. You're going to be sculling as much water as possible from those bottles I bought. And you're going to be sculling as much as you can until you're about to vomit. Once you feel like vomiting, you're going to tell me and you're going to lean over this way and do the biggest vomit of your life. Once you vomit, the demons are out. You've got the statues to protect you. You're going to listen for a crying and screaming sound in the jar. Once you hear that, you're going to close the lid and give it to me. I'm like, noted, sir. So I start sculling these water bottles, bro, like sculling them, And I get to a point about 10 minutes in where I probably had 2.5, 3 already. I'm like, all right, I can probably vomit now. He's like, okay, this is the biggest moment of your life. Ready? He counts me down. He goes, 3, 2, 1. And I've got this jar and I just go, like I vomit everything into the jar. Now, bear in mind, I don't know what comes out because it's murky inside. It's very, misty. And I'm trying to listen to that noise he told me to look out for, the crying noise. And I thought I heard a noise, so I closed it. Ready for this one? All right, so this is the jar. So I close the lid and say you're the master, okay? So he had his hands like that sort of thing. Yeah, cool. So this is a jar, right? I've just vomited in here. All that's in here is a fingernail, some of my spit, and a piece of my hair. That's all that's in there, right? Now, to my understanding, he had his bare hands open like this, okay? So I go, here you go. Now, the moment his top hand the bottom, the moment it comes here, right? Do you know what happens? In the jar, from the bottom, it lights up in a flame. And the flame inside the jar breaks the top of the lid and the top lid cracks open. No word of a lie. So Dan's master's got this jar, right? It's cracked open.
Bang.
And then he's going psycho. He's like, oh no, where is it? He's like trying to close the jar, but it's like already broken, and he's trying to still shut it. And the jar lid's flinging him open and closed and open and closed. And I don't know why I'm giving that to you, man. And then I'm like, oh, here we go again. And then he's screaming, he's swearing at the thing. He's like, go into my office, get these 2 Indian statues, quick. So I sprint into his office and I get these like 2 little like Hindu god statues. I bring them to him. He's like, they're the wrong ones. Get the other ones. But the guy has like 6,000 in his office. So I go back, I get some other ones. He's like, oh, this will do. And the guy's on the floor still, again, with the jar. And the jar's flying him across the room like this. And he's swearing again, he's spitting. And then he screams in pain again like the last time. And he turns his forearm over. He's wearing a bandage, by the way, from the last session with me. But he turns his other arm over. And now there's red scratch marks everywhere. There's not the black mark, there's red scratch marks. And I'm thinking, man, like this, I mustn't be a human. Like I must be dead and I must be like dreaming this or something because this can't be happening. And then he's like, pour more water into the jar, get this statue. And then eventually he goes, get out of the room. It's too dangerous for you. Shut the door. And I'm thinking, oh, I must be healed now, surely. So I'm like, oh, I feel all right, I think. And then walks out of the room. He's like, come to my office. He looks at me. He's like, give me your palm. Takes my pulse. He's like, you're healed. I'm like
so
that?
Simple.
Yeah, I'm like that. He's like, yeah, good stuff, man. I'm like, cool. And he goes, but there's one more thing we have to do, and you're going to chuck a fit if you're a businessman, which I know you are. He goes, now, you're healed now, but to stay healed, we have to basically get the 2 statues with the gold, 17 grand worth, and find deep water where no one will find them, and throw them in the ocean forever. And that's going to protect you for the rest of your life from ever being possessed ever again. I'm like, yeah, sounds like it makes sense. So me and this guy, we drive to St Kilda Beach. Me and this Buddha-looking master astrologist, in my nice car back then, and he's searching for deep water around St Kilda Beach. We go onto the pier. We walk everywhere. It's taken us like a good amount of time. He's like looking. He's like, nah, too shallow. He's like, where else can we go? I go, I don't know. We can go to Altona Beach, which is a 20-minute drive or half an hour or something. And then by this time, it's been like 2 hours of looking. He can't find deep enough water. We get to Altona. It's like about to be pitch black. He goes, that's a spot. And he goes, cool, we're going to say this prayer. I'm going to throw one in. You're going to throw one in. And then that's it. So we do the prayer, throw it, deal is done. And I drop him back. I'm like, all right, so I must be healed. So I'm like, all right, like I feel good, I think I feel all right. I think I'm placeboing myself to feel good at least. And that particular night, one of our friends in my group of friends in Melbourne was on Love Island. And we used to go to a mate's house to watch her on Love Island. So I had to go pick my friend up from there that night. And I remember walking to my friend's place and I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm healed, like I'm declaring that over my life. And then I pick up my housemate. We go back to my place and I'm like, yeah, this is great. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh no. I'm like, I feel like I have to vomit again. But I haven't got the statues on me, so how am I going to be protected if there's still a demon inside? Again, I'm like, Master, I'm like, I need to vomit. What do I do? He's like, huh? You need to vomit? I'm like, yeah, but I haven't got the statues. He's like, oh, that's very strange. Let me pray about it for a few days and I'll get back to you. I'm like, screw this guy. Anyways, this leads us to the end resolution, which I'm sure you've been waiting for. A couple of days before this, I forgot to mention that I was having the worst nighttime attacks, even worse than before, after meeting this Indian spiritual healer. Way worse. And there was one night where I called my mum. I'm like, Mum, I'm dying. I'm sorry, I love you. Went to hospital. And they couldn't find anything. I got back to the apartment and I was just being stabbed in the heart, just nonstop. And my housemate was up with me for hours. The TV was flickering on and off. Just this weird stuff was happening. And I was like, I've been to see this spiritual guy once and I believe this is spiritual. So maybe instead of typing in, I don't know, like heart attacks or like medical issues nighttime, I now started typing in spiritual attacks at night, what to do. And so this was like a few days after my first Indian exorcism. And so that was a few days before the last one that I just mentioned. And this is the craziest part. I found this video of this woman. She goes, hey, I'm very experienced in this. I want you to try something. If you've been up all night, you can't sleep, and you think it's a spiritual attack, I want you to download the Bible app. And I want you to go to the Bible and play any verse out loud and see what happens. Bro, I get the Bible app. I'm like, what's this Bible nonsense? Download it. I start playing it out loud. I notice like I put my head on the pillow. Bang, it's the morning. I'm like, I'm alive. Like, and I run into my housemate's room. I'm like, what happened last night? Like, how come 6 hours I couldn't sleep? And then all of a sudden she goes, bro, like when the Bible started playing, you fell asleep straight away.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this second exorcism, which I told you about just then. But if that doesn't work, I'm going to Jesus. And then that's where I guess.
This path.
Yeah.
Now, just very quickly.
Sorry, I know it's long. I'm trying to
No.
short.
Just very quickly before we go on to like what happened when you encountered Jesus. Those 2 statues of gold, right? I'm pretty sure
you booked your flight already.
No. I'm pretty sure he went back and grabbed those.
But they were in the ocean, bro. It was
No. So
I reckon that's his spot. I reckon that's his spot. I reckon he goes back because if you think about it. No, I'm just saying from us. I know this is the hard about mixing the spiritual with the scamming. But I'm telling you, the way I'm hearing it, it's like this is a great way because if you ask for dollars, then that money's traceable and it's fraud, right? If you ask for gold, right, it's not traceable per se. And then you throw it away and he comes back to the spot where you dropped it and it's like a regular spot. It's that night too, so you're not necessarily going to remember.
But I had to suggest where the beach was. He didn't even know where it was.
So I know what the scam is because I have my friend who's a mentor.
I feel like he's gone back and got those statues.
So
he's gone scuba diving.
So my friend who's from Sri Lanka knows this scam.
It's very common.
He told me what it is. So the other metals, so there's other metals, not just the gold. So the other metals are the inside. they're the cheap metals, and it's just gold plated. Then he keeps the rest of the gold.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Yeah.
100%. I
Because he
believe
goes away and makes it.
Yeah,
he makes it.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
I
you
don't
give
make
him the
it.
gold, then he makes.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
It's just gold plated.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the other metals are the inside, the cheap ones, and then he takes the rest of the gold.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
you
what
know
That's
happened.
the scam.
And you know the whole thing about you leaving the room too?
Yeah.
It's like he's doing something. He doesn't want you in there to
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Whether he's
Yeah, yeah.
burning himself for real
Yeah, maybe.
or, like, and not to discount the fact that there's real spiritual things going on, but this guy's just taking advantage of it.
Yeah, he must have been.
Oh, man, the frustration.
Because
You know-
he's possessed as well. So he's obviously possessed. You can't, live that life without being heavily
Oh,
possessed
yeah, yeah.
yourself. So those demons are using him
That's
to
been given
do
over
this
to a
as well.
reprobate mind. Okay.
Do you know what's funny though? You know how it's like the abuser, like the victim of the perpetrator, still like will like their abuser kind of thing. It's like
Stockholm syndrome.
yeah, it's like that, bro. Even to this day, I probably like I know deep down he was a scammer, I think, but I still have like a good impression about the bloke. I'm like, he actually helped me. You know why? Because genuinely, he was the first. He could have scammed me for 20K for sure. Let's be real. But he was the first person to open my eyes up to the spiritual realm, and this led me on a trajectory to then finding Jesus. So 20K is not much of a loss, in that regard.
Hey, look, it's nothing. To encounter, you do anything to counter the truth ultimately.
Yeah.
So this has been your journey, so be it.
It was a platform.
The end was the end. And it's a good way to look at it too, because a lot of people would get burnt at that, the idea, but you're looking at so you do the second exorcism, you're not feeling the best. He says he'll call you back in a few days. You do the Bible app. What happens after that?
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, screw this. Like, I'm going to try this Jesus thing. And a couple of weeks prior, so this story is extremely intricate. So many things happen. So the timing and the sequence might be off. But a few weeks prior, I believe, I had a really great housemate. Her name's Connie. And she was like almost like an angel to me. Like, she was helping me through this time of my life where I just had to almost be distracted a lot of the time instead of just sitting at home by myself. So she used to always try and get me out of the house. And one day she goes, hey, I've got this dinner with this group of friends that you've never met, but someone can't make it. It was a Korean barbecue at someone's house. Do you want to just fill in? I'm like, sure. Like, I just wanted to kill time and just hope it was all over. So I go to these this apartment in South Bank, and go upstairs, like 15th floor, enter. It's like a nice 2-bedroom, Asian sort of looking place. And there were these like people there, and I've never met them, I don't think. Hey man, my name's Andy. Hey, my name's Pauline, and a few other guys. And we sit down, we just start having Korean barbecue. And I don't know, we're just chatting. Connie knows what I'm going through. I don't know if they did. Maybe she told them. But I just start opening up about some stuff I was going through. I was like, I've been going through some pretty bad stuff recently and this and that. And suddenly we just like start talking about God. And I don't like, apart from that time, my mate sent me a book about God. But apart from that, no one really spoke to me about Jesus at all. And I'm like, yeah, God, I don't know what I believe in. I believe in the universe, blah, blah, blah. And they go, man, like, I just got a question. Like, would you be open to coming to church? And I'm like, I went to a Catholic school. I guess so, as we all say, right? And anyway, so this is what happened. So after the second exorcism, as you just mentioned, the Bible app thing, I then say, hey, let's go to church. Bro, this is nuts. So anyone out there that knows Melbourne, Planet Shake is a massive church. Mm-hmm. And they go, cool, we're going to take you to a church. I'm like, cool. I dress up in like full on, like almost like a suit, like a big long coat. I think I'm going to go into like a Catholic, temple or something from memory of my childhood. And I'm walking with them and I'm like, where's this church? They're like, over here. I'm like, okay, let's keep walking. And then they lead me into like a foyer. I'm like, where are we going? You said you're taking me to a church. Yeah, this is the church. I'm like, here? They go, yeah. I'm like, okay. Anyways, I walk through the auditorium, the foyer. Next thing I know, the doors open of the auditorium, right? And I didn't know where I was going. I just remember doors open. I open my eyes. It's black with like a stage inside. And let's say this is like the door. This is the foyer. That's the auditorium. The moment the door opens and I step 2 feet into the church, I get supernaturally hit by the Holy Spirit straight away. Something just comes into my body and like this, the most powerful presence I've ever felt in my entire life just like whooshes into me. Oof. And I start hearing this audible voice. And the voice says 3 things to me. It says, this is where you belong. These are your people. And this is where you're going to get healed. And I start bawling my eyes out.
Really?
I don't know what's going on.
You knew, right?
I just
After
knew.
all the searching, all the power.
I just knew.
It's that supernatural healing, that light.
Bro.
And after all the pain, all the struggle, everything, you even see it on you right now.
Yeah. In a
still
split
feel
second.
it.
Yeah, bro. I'm feeling it right now.
Can
teary.
you explain the difference? Because like you felt spiritual things before versus this. How can you differentiate? Because a lot of skeptics could say that's just another one.
Yeah.
That's just another experience. That's just another thing on a long list of things that you've experienced. How do you differentiate?
Just bro, like the peace that surpasses all understanding. That's all I can say.
The way I describe it was
I can't even describe it in words.
it's surrender.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's the realization that you need saving.
Yeah.
And it's this moment where it's an intimate moment with the Lord where you feel like it's like he's grabbed you.
Yeah.
Like he's grabbed you, holding you. You feel held.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you realize that this moment, it's a saving moment.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference between encountering like that energy when you went into that room and you felt the energy of the first Reiki here, like, oh, that feels nice. It doesn't feel like you're being saved.
Yeah.
That's how I describe it.
Yeah, that's good.
It feels like that moment when I got hit by the Holy Spirit on my knees where I'm like, I'm ready to die.
Yeah.
That was my moment.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
And you get hit and you realize, oh, like everything I was trying to do, everything I was trying to save myself, all the things. And it's like, you can't save yourself. I can though. And it's that surrender to him.
And see the difference. The most beautiful thing about our God is that we don't have to do anything for him. Like all we have to do is come to the table and then it begins a journey with him. But the thing is like, he's the one who heals us. He's the one who delivers us. He's the one who does the work in our heart to change us. He's the one who changes us. Whereas before, every other flavor, every other option is I have to earn it for myself through this. I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to get this gold. I have to do this prayer. I have to go throw the statue in the water. I have to go and wear the shirt for 7 days. I have to follow this master. I have to do this teaching. And it's just endless. But the difference with our God is he just comes and he just does it.
Yeah.
In a split second, bro.
He does it.
Yeah. In a split second. It was the most
I'm just feeling the
powerful.
Holy Spirit. Right?
I know. And there's a part of me now, like, even just in this podcast now, I'm not sure. It's just like, I know there's a whole nother podcast, a whole nother story about your two interaction, right? About like the further deepening revelation of God and the more healing that comes with it. But what I love about this particular moment right now, it's been like this whole story has been leading up to this point where you've encountered the Lord and you knew what he did in that moment. And it's like that constant pain and all the struggles that you've gone through, like the emotional, spiritual, mental, like torture, to realize that it took that one person at a barbecue to go, hey, you want to come to church with me? You know what I mean? And how the gratitude upon you now for that person that asked you, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, for me now, being on a similar journey to yours, the idea of seeing someone come into this moment is all I live for now. I live for the lost sheep. I live for the moment where there's no amount of money, there's no amount of fame, there's no amount of things of the world that can offer me than someone encountering the truth when they were lost. To see that healing come upon them, I'll fight to the death for that.
Yeah.
Because all the evil, all the sickness in the world, you start to, even before you meet Christ, you look at all the evil and all the sickness in the world and you stare at it and it's abhorrent. It offends you. I don't want to see this evil. I don't want to do any of these things. But you realize, you know what? I'm a part of that. I'm a part of that system. As much as I am critical of it, like there's this moment in the scriptures about the demon-possessed man. I was telling Daniel about it. I'm actually speaking about it tomorrow. where encounters Jesus encounters the demon possessed man. He falls on his knees and he goes. The demon says to him, "This is Legion." Goes, "You're Jesus, the Son of God. Are you here to torture me? Don't torture me. Don't torment me." Meanwhile, the whole time he is torturing. This demon is torturing and tormenting this person. He's ostracized. He's by himself. He's chained up. He's cutting himself with stones, all those things. And he has the gall to play victim. And you think to yourself, it's like when you get trapped in that victimhood mentality, and there are real victims in there, it's like this idea that you did not lead yourself. As much as you were attacked, let's be right, like there's a demonic influence there by all means. How much of it was your willing participation, right? We never want to consider our own actions involved in leading to that point.
Yep.
And it's that realization, that moment where it's like, I can't do it my way anymore. I've listened to everyone. I've listened to all these different options, all these different healings. Like I was similar, man. I went to a cardiologist. I went to acupuncturist. I went to meditation. I was listening because I couldn't sleep. I was listening to these I am affirmations. I am
done all that.
I am cool. I am. And I was like, I had to listen to that for an hour and a half just to try and get 2 hours of sleep.
Wow.
And so this healing that's come upon you, you realize it's that surrender. It's a surrender. That's it. Can't do it my way anymore. I'm going to try this Jesus thing. You know, I'll go to church and then boom. Yeah, it hits you.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing story.
And what I said to you guys off camera as well was like, it was kind of funny because as I got struck, I just started bawling my eyes out. But it was funny because one of the first thoughts I had during this whole experience actually was as I got struck and I'm walking to, you know, the place I was going to be seated, I'm looking around and I'm like, oh, like I started to have a flashback of the Borat movie of that crazy, all the crazy Christians running around and screaming and speaking in tongues. And it was in that moment, I just supernaturally got it. I was like, I get it now. Like, I understand why there are these crazy Christians out there because I'm feeling the same. Like, I get it now. I completely understand. And I've never cried on a podcast before.
It is because you feel it, right?
Yeah,
it's a spirit. One of the fruit of the spirit is joy.
Yeah.
You know, joy to know what you've come from, to how you're almost grateful for the pain, right?
Absolutely.
You're grateful for every bruise because of what it is to come into the truth.
Yeah.
And that's powerful too, man, because it's almost meaningful. A lot of people use the problem of evil to, why does God allow certain things and all those things? All I can tell you is, in my personal experience, I'm so grateful for that because it only makes me want to fight harder for those people that are in pain, that are hurting.
And there's so many, bro.
Exactly.
There's so many.
What would be, because I know there's more to this story, but there's almost this beautiful moment now where I want to almost put it to a part 2. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause I know there's so much more with this story, but here I feel it in this moment where this is a healing moment in this podcast, you know, where people can realize that healing is possible. The healing by the light of God, you know? What would be, like, for both you guys, what would be a message that you have for people from, and let's start off with you, Dan.
Yeah.
And then let's finish with you. What would be for people that are hurting, that suffer mental illness, that got that depression, that suicidal thoughts, you know, and this, there's 2 types of people I find. There's the idea that Jesus is offensive, and there's also this idea that there's skepticism and the shame and all the things, the obstacles to them, because they've heard about Jesus. They've heard about it. And there's not this willingness to encounter this power of the Holy Spirit that people talk about. What would you be advice for those people that are suffering that way?
Yeah, I encounter a lot of people. I do a lot of street evangelism and online as well. Like you said, the problem with the evil people are saying, well, why, you know, if Jamie got healed, why doesn't the little kid with cancer or my mum, you know, or why does this happen or why does that happen? But the reality is I've witnessed countless people now have miraculous healing, whether it was from mental health issues, by having demons cast out of them, or as recent as someone who's a good friend now, who's part of my church, who was having seizures and paralysis and stuck in hospital, and they couldn't work out what it was until she had an encounter with God. And then we prayed and cast out the demons, just like in the Bible. She was having seizures and paralysis, got set free from the demons, then received full, complete healing.
Wow.
And so like this stuff's still happening today, and it's modern day miracles that are happening. But you know, the people who are skeptical have a very fair point where they say, well, if this is real, if this is true, why are the Christians not going into the hospitals and mental health wards? Why aren't they going in and doing this and healing everyone? And you know what? I think that's actually a fair criticism, because why isn't the church doing that? First off, I think that's a massive criticism of the church, because if Christians really understood the authority and the power that God has given them, shared with them to go out and do these things, where you don't need statues and gold and this and that, you just need the name of Jesus. If the church actually went out and did those things that Jesus called them to do, then this whole world would be in a completely different place. And that's what Jesus expected of us, but the church has failed. And there are people that are going out and doing those things. I have friends that go into mental health wards and go into hospitals, and I've heard countless stories, and I know people who were supernaturally healed, but it's the minority when it should be 100 times more. You know, and then people say, well, why don't we see it on the mainstream media? Because the mainstream media hates Jesus and they don't want to cover it, but we cover it. So we have heaps of media where we cover these stories. I have countless videos on my phone of demons being cast out, all these things. Yeah. So like, it is real, and it's happening, and it's actually growing, and things are starting to change, and the church is starting to pick up the pace, and things are moving as God begins, you know, as God's pouring out His Spirit, and you're going to see more of it. And you know, there's a million different things that you can do, but none of it's going to heal you. Only Jesus. Only Jesus.
Amen. Yeah.
Amen. Yeah. And what would you say, Jeremy, in closing?
Yeah, I would just say, like, this is a message to, I think, all the young people that are aspiring to be successful and have the money and the fame and the status and all the things that come with the world. I just want to let you guys know, like, at the end of the day, look at King Solomon. You know, he had everything. He had the whole world. He had all the luxuries that you could possibly imagine. And at the end of his life, even though he had all the wisdom that he could ever gain, he was the smartest man to ever live, he still came to the conclusion that life is meaningless without God. And it's true, because I've experienced so much of that. You know, the money and the car and the apartment and all the girls that you could possibly ask for, and going everywhere on the street, getting mobbed by people wanting photos with you and being idolized. And the truth is, like, none of it means anything. It's only having God in my life that has actually brought me fulfillment. When I was experiencing that to the pinnacle of what I did experience it towards, I was the most depressed and unhappy I've ever been in my life. And you see it not just with me, but so many other people that experience it. So I guess I just want to give hope to people that, you know, in pursuit of all these things, it comes with a cost if you don't have a deeply rooted foundation or identity in Jesus. And the second thing I want to say is that from my own story and obviously things that Dan and I have seen, and we've all seen, is that there are things that society will never, ever mark as demonic or diagnose as demonic. But I guarantee you, look at me, like, I've been OCD free for 4 years. I had it my whole life. Once we had the demon casted out, never came back. I've had many demons casted out of things and themes in my life that I've had my whole life. Once it's gone, it's gone. It never come back. And so I want to give a message out there to people that might be suffering from mental health issues, identity issues, you know, even physical issues, sexual issues, whatever it is. Like, Jesus can heal you.
Amen.
And if you've tried everything, you've done all the drugs, all the cognitive behavioral therapy, all the new age stuff, nothing's working. Look at what happened to me. So
amen. And you know what? There's definitely a part 2 to this, because there is that other side about what happened between, you know, you guys and all that healing that you just spoke about. But there also a time, what I do love about these podcasts is that sometimes the Holy Spirit just moves in such a way where we didn't like necessarily script what we were going to do today. I actually thought it was going to possibly go in a different direction, because I wanted to get more into the deliverance side of things. But this is where it needs to end today. And I hope that we get another opportunity to do a part 2, come together, talk about those other things that you just said. But I feel like the healing in the story today that people are going to take away from is the idea that when you chase the world, when your heart is in the world's going to eat you up and it's going to spit you back out. But when you have your heart and your treasure in heaven, you know, that's something that can be never taken away from you, just as you said. And so I hope people find that option, that heavenly option in their lives where it's a meaning that goes beyond purpose. So anyway, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story. I think it's going to bless a lot of people. Brother,
Thank you.
it's always a pleasure having you here, man.
We're not doing an on-screen arm wrestle, are we?
No,
Felt like you're
off
going in
screen.
for an arm wrestle.
Off screen. All right, that's a wrap. Beautiful.